The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor, and Maya's heart stopped as 3 men blocked her path to the club's exit. "Well, well, if it isn't Derek's little leftover," the tallest one sneered, close enough that she could smell the whiskey on his breath. "Thought you could just show up here like you own the place?" Maya's hands trembled as she clutched her purse. The VIP section of Eclipse had seemed like neutral territory, a friend's birthday party, nothing more. She'd checked 3 times to make sure Derek wouldn't be here, but she hadn't thought about his friends. Brad, Mike, and Justin, the toxic trio who'd always treated her like an accessory instead of a person during those 2 miserable years. "I'm just leaving," she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. "Excuse me." Brad stepped closer, his bulk blocking the corridor. "You embarrassed him, you know that? Walking out on Derek like you're something special. Do you have any idea what people said? What they're still saying?" Her throat constricted. The breakup had been 6 months ago. 6 months since she'd finally found the courage to walk away from Derek's controlling behavior, his cruel jokes, the way he'd systematically isolated her from everyone who cared about her. She'd rebuilt her life piece by piece, a new apartment, reconnecting with old friends, remembering what it felt like to breathe without permission. "That's between Derek and me," Maya said, trying to sidestep. Mike moved to block her, and suddenly the walls felt very close. The music from the main floor pounded through the walls, drowning out everything else. No one could hear them back here. "He's a good guy," Justin added, his finger jabbing toward her face. "Better than you deserved. And you just threw it away like trash." Maya's pulse hammered in her ears. "I need you to let me pass." "Or what?" Brad laughed, a harsh sound that made her skin crawl. "You gonna call for help? Nobody here cares about you, sweetheart. Derek made sure everyone knows what kind of woman you really are." The lies, she'd heard about them. The stories Derek had spread after she left, painting her as unstable, unfaithful, vindictive. None of it true, all of it designed to destroy her reputation, to punish her for daring to leave. "Please." The word came out smaller than she intended. "I just want to go home." "Should have thought about that before you—" "Is there a problem here?" The voice cut through the tension like a blade, deep, calm, and absolutely commanding. All 4 of them turned. The man standing at the end of the corridor wasn't just tall. He had the kind of presence that seemed to fill the entire space. Dark suit tailored to perfection, black hair swept back, and eyes that looked almost black in the dim lighting. But it was his expression that made Maya's breath catch. Not angry, not concerned, just coldly curious, like someone who'd stumbled across insects and was deciding whether they were worth his attention. Brad recovered first, puffing his chest. "Private conversation, buddy. Move along." The man didn't move, didn't even blink. "The lady asked you to let her pass." "The lady!" Mike started with a mocking laugh, but something in the stranger's gaze made him stop mid-sentence. "I don't believe I was speaking to you." The man's tone hadn't changed, still perfectly level, perfectly polite, but Maya felt the temperature drop. "I was making an observation. The lady asked to pass. You're preventing her. That seems discourteous." Justin tried next, stepping forward with false bravado. "Look, man, you don't know what's going on here, so why don't you just—" "I know exactly what's going on here." The stranger's eyes finally shifted from the men to Maya, and for a moment she forgot to breathe. There was something in that look. Recognition, maybe, or assessment, but underneath it something that made her pulse quicken for entirely different reasons. "You're frightening her. That ends now." "Who the hell do you think you—" Brad began. "Dante Moretti." The 2 words dropped like stones into water. Maya saw the change ripple through all 3 men. Brad's face going pale, Mike taking an involuntary step backward, Justin's swagger collapsing like a house of cards. Even Maya knew that name. You didn't live in this city without hearing it, usually in whispers, always with a mixture of fear and respect. The Moretti family controlled half the city's business interests, and Dante Moretti was its youngest son. Brilliant, ruthless, and according to every rumor Maya had ever heard, not a man you crossed unless you had a death wish. "Mr. Moretti," Brad stammered, and Maya watched in amazement as this man who'd been intimidating her seconds ago practically deflated. We weren't... You weren't what? Dante's eyebrow arched slightly. Cornering a woman in a private corridor, preventing her from leaving, using your size to intimidate her? He paused, letting each word sink in. Because from where I'm standing, that's precisely what you were doing. It's not like that, Justin tried. Her ex is a friend of ours, and I don't recall asking for context. Dante took a step forward, and all three men retreated. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to apologize to the lady, then you're going to leave this establishment, and you're never going to approach her again. His voice dropped lower, somehow more menacing for its softness. Do we understand each other? Mike opened his mouth, looked at Dante's expression, and closed it again. We understand, Brad muttered. I didn't hear an apology. Brad's face flushed red, but he turned to Maya. Sorry, he bit out. The other two mumbled something similar. Dante's gaze never wavered. Now leave. They did. Maya watched in stunned silence as three grown men practically fled down the corridor, not even looking back. When they disappeared around the corner, she realized she was shaking. Are you all right? Dante's voice had changed, still deep, still authoritative, but softer somehow. Maya looked up at him and found herself caught in those dark eyes again. Up close, he was even more striking. Sharp jawline, full lips, a small scar above his left eyebrow that somehow only made him more compelling. Yes, thank you. You didn't have to... Yes, I did. It wasn't arrogant, just matter of fact. A man sees a woman in distress. He intervenes. It's not complicated. Maya's laugh came out shaky. I think for most men, it's very complicated. Something flickered in his expression. Then most men are cowards. He extended his hand. Dante Moretti, though you've apparently already heard of me. His handshake was firm, warm, and sent an unexpected jolt up her arm. Maya Chen. And thank you, really. I don't know what would have happened if nothing was going to happen. His certainty was absolute. You were leaving, and they were going to let you. One way or another. She believed him. Looking into those eyes, she believed he would have made absolutely certain of it, whatever it took. Can I offer you a drink? Dante asked. You look like you could use one. Maya knew she should say no. She should thank him again, go home, put this whole evening behind her. But something in his presence made her feel safe for the first time all night. All month, if she was being honest. And there was something else, too. Something that had nothing to do with safety, and everything to do with the way he was looking at her, like she was the only person in the entire club. Just one, she heard herself say. His smile transformed his face. Just one. The VIP section where Dante led her was different from the rest of the club. Quieter, more intimate, with leather booths and soft lighting. A server appeared within seconds of them sitting down, took Dante's order without him saying a word, and vanished just as quickly. You come here often? Maya asked, then immediately cringed at how cliché it sounded. Dante's lips curved. I own it. Oh. Of course he did. That explains the service. The service is because I insist on excellence. He leaned back, studying her with that intense focus that made her acutely aware of herself. But I am here frequently, yes. Business meetings, usually. Tonight was supposed to be one of those. Was. I find myself more interested in different company. His eyes held hers. Tell me about those men. The ex-boyfriend they mentioned. Maya's stomach clenched. It's not an interesting story. I disagree. Any story that ends with three men cornering you in a corridor is interesting to me. There was something in his tone, a edge, almost possessive, that sent heat through her chest. We dated for 2 years. It was bad. I finally left 6 months ago. He didn't take it well. Define bad. Maya hesitated. She'd told this story before, to her therapist, to her sister, but it never got easier. Controlling. He wanted to know where I was every minute, who I talked to, what I wore. If I didn't answer his texts fast enough, She swallowed. He'd punish me. Not physically, just emotionally. Silent treatment, mind games, making me feel like I was crazy for being upset. Dante's expression hadn't changed, but something had gone very still in him. And after you left? He spread rumors, told everyone I'd cheated, that I was unstable, that I'd stolen from him. None of it was true, but it didn't matter. People believed him. She blinked back sudden tears. I lost friends, my reputation. I had to change jobs because it got so bad. Yet you're rebuilding. It wasn't a question. Maya nodded. Trying to. Tonight was supposed to be a step forward. Friend's birthday party. Getting back out there. She laughed bitterly. Clearly that went well. The drinks arrived, something amber for him, a cosmopolitan for her that she hadn't ordered, but was exactly what she would have chosen. Dante waited until they were alone again. You're stronger than you think, he said quietly. I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm always looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next thing Derek's going to do to make my life harder. That's going to stop. The certainty in his voice made her look up. What? The harassment, the intimidation? It stops tonight. Dante took a sip of his drink, casual as discussing the weather. I'll make sure of it. Maya's heart skipped. You don't have to do that. You don't even know me. I know enough. His eyes locked on hers. I know you had the courage to leave a bad situation. I know you're trying to rebuild your life despite obstacles. I know 3 men thought they could intimidate you tonight, and you stood your ground even though you were terrified. He leaned forward. I know you're exactly the kind of person who deserves protection, not harassment. Why? The word burst out before she could stop it. Why do you care? Dante was quiet for a moment, his finger tracing the rim of his glass. Do you believe in instinct, Maya? I don't know. I do. In my line of work, instinct is the difference between success and failure. Life and death, sometimes. His gaze pinned her. My instinct is telling me that you walking into this club tonight wasn't coincidence. It was fate. Maya's breath caught. That's intense, presumptuous. His smile was slight, almost self-deprecating. Probably. But I didn't get where I am by ignoring what I know to be true. And I know, with absolute certainty, that you're someone I want to protect. Someone I want to know. Her heart was hammering so hard, she was sure he could hear it. You don't know anything about me. Then tell me. He settled back, giving her space but keeping that intense focus. I want to know everything. And somehow, impossibly, Maya found herself talking. About her childhood in Seattle, her move to the city for college, her degree in art history that led to a job at a small gallery, until Derek's rumors forced her out. About her love of old movies and good coffee, her terrible habit of adopting dying houseplants, her dream of maybe opening her own gallery someday. Dante listened to everything, asking questions that showed he was genuinely interested, not just being polite. When she mentioned her gallery dream, his eyes lit up. What's stopping you? Money, connections, confidence. She laughed. Take your pick. The first 2 can be solved. The third is already there. You just don't see it yet. You sound very sure. I am. He signaled for another round of drinks. Tell me about the kind of gallery you'd want. Maya felt herself relaxing, the tension from earlier melting away as they talked. Dante had opinions about art, surprisingly informed ones. He'd traveled extensively, seen pieces in museums she'd only dreamed of visiting. But he didn't lecture or show off. He asked her thoughts, her interpretations, treated her expertise with genuine respect. An hour passed like minutes, then another. Maya couldn't remember the last time she'd felt this comfortable with someone, this seen. Derek had always talked over her, dismissed her interests as boring or pretentious. Dante made her feel like every word she said mattered. "I should probably go," she said reluctantly, checking her phone. "Nearly midnight. I've taken up enough of your evening." "You haven't." Dante stood when she did, a gesture of courtesy that felt both old-fashioned and natural. "But I'll walk you to your car." "You don't have to." "Maya." His voice was gentle but firm. "I'm walking you to your car." She didn't argue. They made their way through the club, and Maya was hyper-aware of Dante's hand at the small of her back. Not possessive, just present. Protective. Several people nodded respectfully to him as they passed. One man started to approach, saw Maya, and thought better of it. The parking garage was well lit, but eerily quiet. Maya's car was on the 3rd level, and with each floor they climbed, she felt her anxiety returning. What if Derek's friends were waiting? What if... Breathe. Dante's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. "You're safe." "How do you know?" "Because I'm here." Simple. Absolute. "And no one is going to touch you while I'm here." They reached her car, a modest sedan that had seen better days. Maya fumbled with her keys, suddenly nervous for entirely different reasons. The evening was ending. She'd probably never see him again. Men like Dante Moretti didn't pursue women like her. Tonight had been a fantasy, a brief moment where she got to feel special before reality crashed back in. "Maya." Dante's hand covered hers, steadying the keys. "I'd like to see you again." Her heart leaped into her throat. "Really? Did you think I spent the last 2 hours with you out of obligation?" His thumb brushed over her knuckles, sending sparks up her arm. "I meant what I said. This wasn't coincidence. I don't understand. You could have anyone. I don't want anyone." His free hand came up to cup her cheek, and Maya's eyes fluttered closed at the gentleness of it. "I want you, if you want me too." She opened her eyes. His face was close now, so close she could see flecks of gold in those dark eyes, could feel the warmth radiating from him. "This is crazy," she whispered. "Probably." His lips curved. "Does that mean no?" Maya's answer was to close the distance between them. The kiss was everything, soft and demanding, gentle and hungry, a perfect contradiction that made her head spin. Dante's hand slid into her hair, angling her head to deepen the kiss, and Maya melted into him. Into this. Into the feeling of being wanted, not despite who she was, but because of it. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Dante rested his forehead against hers. "Dinner tomorrow," he said. Not a question. "Tomorrow," Maya agreed. "I'll pick you up at 7. He pulled back, reached into his jacket, and produced a business card. "Text me your address." Maya took the card with shaking fingers. "Okay." Dante waited until she was in her car, doors locked, before stepping back. As she drove away, she watched him in her rearview mirror, tall, composed, powerful, watching her until she was out of sight. The next 3 weeks were a whirlwind. Dante wasn't just attentive. He was present in ways Maya hadn't known were possible. He texted her good morning before she woke up, called during his lunch breaks just to hear her voice, sent flowers to her apartment with notes that made her laugh. Their dinner dates stretched into long walks, museum visits, quiet evenings at his penthouse, where they talked until dawn. He never pushed for more than she was ready to give, never made her feel rushed or pressured. And yet, the intensity between them built with every touch, every look, every moment they spent together. Maya felt herself falling, and for once she wasn't afraid of the landing. But reality, as always, intruded. She was leaving her new job, a position at a small publishing house that she'd taken after the gallery fiasco, when she saw Derek standing by her car. Maya froze. It had been nearly 7 months since she'd seen him. He looked the same. Sandy hair, athletic build, the charming smile that had once made her stomach flutter and now just made her feel sick. Maya. His voice was warm, familiar, sickening. Can we talk? No. She kept walking, keys already in hand. Please, just 5 minutes. Derek moved to block her path. I've been thinking a lot about us, about what happened. I want to apologize. You can apologize by leaving me alone. Maya, come on. His hand reached for her arm, and she jerked back. Something flashed in his eyes. Anger, quickly masked. I'm trying to be civil here. I don't want your civility. I want you to leave me alone. Her voice was shaking, a furr, but she kept it firm. We have nothing to talk about. Actually, we do. Derek's smile never wavered, but it didn't reach his eyes. I've been hearing things about you and Dante Moretti. Maya's blood ran cold. That's none of your business. None of my... Derek laughed, sharp and bitter. You're dating a criminal, Maya. Do you have any idea who that man is? What he does? He's a businessman. He's a mobster. Derek stepped closer, and Maya fought the urge to retreat. His family runs half the illegal operations in this city. Gambling, money laundering, God knows what else. And you're sleeping with him. That's not... Maya forced herself to breathe. My relationship is none of your concern. I'm trying to help you. Do you think he actually cares about you? Men like Dante Moretti don't date women like you. They use them. You're a toy to him, something to play with until he gets bored. The words hit exactly where they were meant to. The insecure part of Maya that still couldn't quite believe someone like Dante would want her. But she'd spent 6 months learning to recognize manipulation. When she saw it. You need to leave, she said coldly. Now. Or what? You'll call your boyfriend? Have him send his thugs after me? Derek's mask was slipping, revealing the ugly anger underneath. You think you're so special now, don't you? Walking around like you're somebody, when we both know the truth. You're nothing, Maya. You were nothing when we were together, and you're nothing now. Dante Moretti is using you, and when he's done, you'll have nothing left. I said leave. Maya's hands were shaking, but her voice came out steady. Make me. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Maya felt the old fear rising, Derek backing her into corners, making her feel small and powerless and trapped. But she wasn't that woman anymore. Okay. She pulled out her phone, started recording. Derek Chen, I'm asking you for the 3rd time to leave me alone. You are harassing me in a public parking lot. Derek lunged for the phone. Maya stumbled backward, crashed into her car, and felt genuine terror spike through her as his hand closed on her wrist. You little... Let her go. The voice that cut through the parking lot was arctic cold. Derek spun around and Maya watched the color drain from his face. Dante stood 10 feet away, flanked by 2 large men in dark suits. But it was Dante himself who commanded attention. Perfectly still, perfectly composed, and absolutely terrifying. Mr. Moretti, Derek's hand dropped from Maya's wrist like it had burned him. This is a misunderstanding. No. Dante walked forward, slow and deliberate. This is very clear. You were told to leave Maya alone. By my count, you've now violated that instruction 3 times. Once more with your friends at my club. Once through intermediaries who made threatening calls to her workplace. And now here, putting your hands on her. Maya's eyes widened. She hadn't told Dante about the calls. Strange, vaguely threatening messages that had come through the publishing house's main line. She'd thought they were random. Derek was backing up now, hands raised. I just wanted to talk. You wanted to intimidate. Dante didn't raise his voice. Didn't have to. You wanted to make her afraid. Make her doubt herself. Make her doubt me. He was close now, close enough that Derek pressed back against a car. That ends tonight, permanently. You can't threaten me. I'm not threatening you, Derek. Dante's smile was razor sharp. I'm making you a promise. If you so much as think about Maya Chen again, if you speak her name, if you breathe in her direction, I will destroy you. Not physically. I'm not a savage. But your job, your reputation, your future, all of it will evaporate. I'll make sure of it. You can't do that. I absolutely can. Dante leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried across the parking lot. Your boss, Richard Patterson, is a personal friend. So is the dean at the law school you're hoping to attend next year. So is the landlord of your apartment building and the manager at the bank holding your car loan. One word from me, Derek, and your comfortable life becomes very uncomfortable very quickly. Derek's face had gone from white to gray. You can't. I already have. Dante straightened. Your application to Mitchell and Brown Law was rejected this afternoon. Something about concerns with your character references. Your boss will be calling you tomorrow to discuss your performance issues. Your landlord has discovered some violations in your lease agreement. He paused. This is what happens when you make the mistake of targeting someone under my protection. And trust me, this is the gentle version. Please, Derek's voice cracked. Please, what? Show mercy? Dante's expression was stone. The way you showed mercy to Maya, when you isolated her from her friends, when you spread lies about her, when you tried to destroy her reputation and her career. He shook his head. No. You get what you deserve. Be grateful I'm stopping here. Dante turned his back on Derek, the ultimate dismissal, and walked to Maya. His hands cupped her face with infinite gentleness, and the contrast between how he'd just spoken and how he looked at her now made her throat tight. Are you hurt? His voice was soft again, concerned. No, I'm okay. But she was shaking, and they both knew it. Dante pulled her into his arms, holding her against his chest. Over her head, he looked at one of his men. Make sure Mr. Chen leaves, and make sure he understands that if he's within 500 feet of Maya at any point in the future, we're going to have a much less pleasant conversation. Yes, sir. Dante guided Maya to the passenger side of a sleek black car she hadn't noticed before. Leave your car. Marco will have someone bring it to your apartment. I can drive. You're shaking. His thumb brushed her cheek. Let me take you home. Maya didn't argue. She let Dante settle her into the car, let him drive her home in silence, his hand warm and steady on her thigh. Let him follow her up to her apartment, check every room like he expected to find danger lurking, and finally convince her to sit on the couch. I didn't know about the calls, she said quietly. The threatening ones at work. I know. You wouldn't have told me if you had. You'd have tried to handle it yourself. Dante sat beside her, not touching, but close. One of my people monitors these things. We've been documenting everything Derek and his friends have done since the night at the club. Is it true, what Derek said about you? She forced herself to look at him. About your family? Dante didn't flinch from her gaze. Yes and no. My family has business interests that exist in gray areas. Always legal, sometimes morally complicated. I don't apologize for that. It's the world I was born into, and I've made my peace with it. He leaned forward. But I have never, not once, hurt someone who didn't deserve it. I have never preyed on the innocent or the vulnerable, and I would never, ever use you. Derek said, Derek is a small man trying to tear down something he doesn't understand. Dante's hand covered hers. Maya, look at me. She did. Those dark eyes held nothing but sincerity. I want you because you're intelligent and kind and stronger than you give yourself credit for. Because when you talk about art, your whole face lights up. Because you care about dying houseplants and old movies and building something meaningful with your life. His grip tightened. Because from the moment I saw you standing up to those men despite being terrified, I knew you were someone extraordinary. That has nothing to do with using you, and everything to do with being absolutely certain that you're someone I need in my life. Maya felt tears spilling over. This is so fast. We've only known each other 3 weeks. I knew in 3 minutes. Dante brushed the tears away with his thumbs. I know it's fast. I know it's intense. But I also know what I feel, and I know I'm not letting you go. He paused. Unless you want me to. If this is too much, if you need time, I'll give you space. But I'm not walking away, Maya. Not unless you make me. She should want space. Should take time to process everything. The confrontation with Derek, the revelation about Dante's family, the overwhelming intensity of everything she was feeling. But looking at him now, seeing the vulnerability beneath the strength, the care beneath the power, Maya knew exactly what she wanted. I don't want space, she whispered. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Dante's kiss was different this time, deeper, more possessive, claiming her in a way that made her whole body ignite. His hands tangled in her hair, his body pressed against hers, and Maya surrendered to it, to him, to the absolute certainty that this was right. When they finally came up for air, Dante rested his forehead against hers, both of them breathing hard. Stay with me tonight, Maya heard herself say. Please. I'm not going anywhere, he promised. The next morning, Maya woke to sunlight streaming through her windows and Dante's arm around her waist. For a moment, she just lay there, processing everything that had happened. Then Dante stirred, pressed a kiss to her shoulder, and she melted all over again. Morning, he murmured against her skin. Morning. She turned in his arms. So, that happened. His laugh was warm, genuine. That happened. He brushed her hair back. Regrets? Not even one. And she meant it. Whatever happened next, whoever they were going to be together, she was all in. Dante's phone rang then, a sharp, insistent sound. He glanced at it, frowned. I have to take this. Business. He kissed her quickly. Don't move. But the shower beckoned, and Maya was feeling brave, so 20 minutes later she emerged wrapped in a towel to find Dante in her kitchen, still on the phone, making coffee like he'd lived there for years. He looked up when she appeared, and the heat in his gaze made her blush. He said something quick into the phone, hung up, and crossed to her. You're making it very difficult to focus on work, he said, his voice rough. Good. Maya felt bold, powerful. What was the call? Derek's boss called him this morning. He's being let go. Dante's expression was neutral. Apparently there were some inconsistencies in his expense reports that raised red flags. Did you? I made sure someone looked closely at his records, yes. What they found was all Derek. Dante's hand slid to her waist. I told you, Maya. He doesn't get to hurt you anymore. Not ever again. She should probably feel bad about Derek losing his job. Should feel something other than this intense relief and satisfaction. But all she felt was safe. Protected. Cherished. Thank you, she said softly. Always. Dante's kiss was tender. Now get dressed. We're going out. Where? You'll see. 2 hours later, Maya stood in front of a beautiful storefront in the arts district, her mouth open. It's empty, Dante said, leaning against his car with his arms crossed. Lease is available. Good location. Lots of foot traffic. The space upstairs could be an office or a studio. Dante, what? Your gallery. He pushed off the car, came to stand beside her. The one you told me about. This could be it. Maya's heart was pounding. I can't afford. I can. He held up a hand before she could protest. As an investment, with a formal contract, regular returns, completely professional, you run it, you make it yours, and when it succeeds, and it will, you buy me out, and it's entirely yours, Why would you do this? Dante turned to face her fully. Because I believe in you. Because you deserve the chance to build something meaningful. And because I have more money than I know what to do with, and I'd rather invest in you than anything else. Maya felt tears threatening again. This is too much. It's not enough. Dante cupped her face in his hands. Maya, I'm not good at doing things halfway. When I care about something, someone, I'm all in. That's who I am. And I care about you more than I've ever cared about anyone. We've known each other 3 weeks, she whispered, even as her heart soared. I knew in 3 minutes, he repeated. The rest is just confirmation. His thumb stroked her cheek. I'm not asking you to say anything back. I'm not asking for promises. I just need you to know that you're it for me. However long you need, whatever pace you want to set, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Maya kissed him then, there on the street in broad daylight, pouring everything she felt into it. The gratitude, the wonder, the terrifying, exhilarating feeling of falling completely in love. When they broke apart, Dante was smiling. I'll take that as a yes to viewing the space? Maya laughed through her tears. Yes, you impossible man. Show me my gallery. The next few months were transformative. Maya threw herself into building the gallery, curating collections, reaching out to artists, designing the space exactly how she'd always dreamed. Dante was there for every step, offering advice when asked, resources when needed, but never taking over. It was her vision, her business, and he made sure everyone knew it. Her confidence grew with every passing day. The woman who'd been afraid of her shadow 6 months ago was negotiating with artists, charming potential investors, building something real and meaningful. Dante watched her bloom with obvious pride, and their relationship deepened into something neither of them had expected: partnership, passion, and a kind of profound understanding that felt almost cosmic. But Maya should have known it couldn't last forever without one more confrontation. The gallery's opening night was spectacular. Local artists, collectors, even a few celebrities that Dante's connections had brought in. Maya wore a red dress that made her feel powerful, moved through the crowd with confidence, and felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. Until she saw Derek across the room. He looked terrible, thinner, eyes shadowed, suit rumpled. For a moment, Maya felt a pang of something that might have been pity. Then she remembered his hands on her wrist in the parking lot, his vicious words, the months of harassment, and the pity evaporated. What are you doing here? She kept her voice level, professional. Other guests were nearby. I just wanted to see it. Derek looked around the gallery, something bitter in his expression. Wanted to see what you built with his money. With an investment, Maya corrected coldly. One I'm paying back with interest. This is my work, Derek. Mine. Is it? Derek's laugh was hollow. Or did he just buy you a new cage? Bigger, prettier, but still a cage. You need to leave. Maya, is there a problem? Dante materialized at Maya's side, his presence immediately drawing attention. Other conversations quieted, people turning to watch. Derek's face twisted. Of course, the boyfriend to the rescue. The man who's about to have you removed for trespassing, Dante corrected mildly. You weren't invited, Derek. You're not welcome. Leave. This is a public event. It's a private event in a private gallery. Dante's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. You have 10 seconds to leave before I call the police. And trust me, they'll be very interested in the restraining order violation. Restraining order? Derek's eyes widened. There's no... Filed this morning, approved this afternoon. Dante pulled a folded paper from his jacket. You're to stay 500 feet from Maya at all times. This gallery is well within that radius. He smiled, cold and sharp. So either you leave now, voluntarily, or you leave in handcuffs. Your choice. The entire gallery had gone silent now, everyone watching. Maya felt a moment of panic. This was her opening night, her moment, and Derek was ruining it. But then Dante's hand found hers, warm and steady, and she realized something. This wasn't Derek ruining anything. This was Derek getting exactly what he deserved: public humiliation, consequences for his actions, proof that his power over her was gone forever. "I'm not afraid of you," Maya said clearly, loudly enough that everyone could hear. "I'm not ashamed of what I built, or who I built it with. You tried to destroy me, Derek. You tried to make me believe I was nothing. But you were wrong." She stepped forward, chin high. "I'm something, and you're just the man I was smart enough to leave." The words hung in the air like a benediction. Derek's face flushed red, his fists clenching, and for a moment Maya thought he might actually do something stupid. Then Dante moved, barely a step, but suddenly he was between them, his posture radiating controlled violence. "Leave," he said quietly. "Before I forget, I'm trying to be civilized." Derek left, practically ran out of the gallery, and the silence that followed his exit lasted maybe 3 seconds before someone started clapping. Then someone else. Then the whole room erupted in applause, and Maya felt herself flush with something that might have been embarrassment, but felt more like triumph. Dante turned to her, his expression soft. "You okay?" "I'm perfect." And she meant it. She'd faced Derek down, stood her ground, and won. Not because of Dante, though his presence helped, but because she'd found her strength again. "Thank you." "For what? You handled that yourself." "For standing beside me. Not in front of me. Beside me." Something shifted in Dante's expression. He glanced around at the still watching crowd, then back to her. "Maya, I need to tell you something." Her heart skipped. "What?" "This, tonight, watching you stand up to him, seeing what you've built, how strong you've become." He took her hands. "I was trying to wait, trying to give you time, but I can't anymore. Dante, I love you." The words came out fierce, certain. "I'm completely, irrevocably in love with you. Have been since that first night. But now?" He shook his head. "Now it's everything. You're everything." Maya's eyes filled. "I love you too. God, I love you so much." Dante kissed her then, in front of everyone, and the applause started again, mixed with laughter and a few whistles. When they broke apart, both grinning, he pressed his forehead to hers. "There's something else," he said. "More? I'm not sure my heart can take more tonight." "It can." Dante stepped back, and to Maya's shock, dropped to one knee. The gallery went silent again. "Dante, what are you—" "Maya Chen, I know this is fast. I know it's crazy. But I told you, I'm not good at halfway." He pulled a small box from his pocket. "I want everything with you. Partnership, passion, forever. I want to wake up next to you every morning and fall asleep holding you every night. I want to support your dreams and build new dreams together. I want you to be my wife, my partner, my everything." He opened the box, revealing a stunning diamond that caught the light and scattered it like stars. "Will you marry me?" Maya's hands were shaking, her vision blurred with tears. The rational part of her brain that said this was too fast, too much, too crazy, was drowned out by every other part of her screaming, "Yes! Yes!" she whispered. Then louder, "Yes!" Dante stood, slid the ring onto her finger, and kissed her again amid cheers and applause that shook the walls of her gallery. When they finally broke apart, both laughing and crying, Maya looked around at the space she'd built, the people who'd come to celebrate with her, the man who'd helped her remember she was strong enough to be loved exactly as she was. "This is the best night of my life," she told Dante. "Just wait," he promised. "We're just getting started." And as Maya looked into the eyes of the man who'd seen her at her lowest and helped her rise, who'd protected her without controlling her, who loved her not despite her past but because of everything she'd become, she believed him. They were just getting started, and the future was going to be extraordinary. 6 months later, Maya stood in front of a different mirror in a different dress, white instead of red, lace and silk instead of confident cotton. Her gallery had become one of the most talked-about spaces in the city. Her relationship with Dante had deepened into something that felt both breathtakingly new and comfortingly familiar, and today she was getting married. "You look beautiful," her sister said, adjusting her veil. Maya couldn't stop smiling. "I feel beautiful." "You are beautiful." Dante's mother appeared in the doorway, elegant and warm. "My son is a lucky man." "I'm the lucky one," Maya said truthfully. Dante's family had welcomed her with open arms, complicated, intense, loving in ways that sometimes overwhelmed her, but always felt genuine. They'd made her part of something bigger than herself, given her the family she'd been missing. The ceremony was small, intimate, just close friends and family in a garden that felt like something from a fairy tale. When Maya walked down the aisle and saw Dante waiting for her, looking devastating in his tuxedo and absolutely wrecked in the best way, she felt her heart overflow. His vows made her cry. Hers made him smile. When the officiant finally pronounced them married and Dante kissed her like she was the only thing in the universe that mattered, Maya knew with absolute certainty that she'd found her home. At the reception, during their first dance, Dante held her close. "Mrs. Moretti," he murmured against her ear. "I'm keeping my name professionally," she reminded him, but she was smiling. "I know, but let me enjoy it for tonight." He pulled back to look at her. "Happy?" Deliriously. Maya touched his face. "How did I get so lucky?" "I ask myself the same question every day." Dante's eyes were soft. "Thank you." "For what?" "For being brave, for taking a chance on me, for building something beautiful and letting me be part of it." He kissed her forehead. "For being you." Maya kissed him then, soft and sweet, and felt everything click into place, all the pieces of her life, all the pain and fear and struggle, leading to this moment. This man. This future. "I love you," she whispered. "Always," Dante promised. And as they swayed together under the stars, surrounded by love and light and the promise of forever, Maya remembered the woman she'd been 6 months ago, scared, beaten down, convinced she was nothing, and felt nothing but gratitude for the journey that had led her here. She wasn't that woman anymore. She was Maya Moretti, gallery owner, beloved wife, woman who'd found her strength and her voice and the love of her life. She was exactly who she was always meant to be, and it was absolutely perfect.